Next question. So what do you think about CrossFit? Seems you do a lot of the same movements and workout schemes.
So CrossFit, I think CrossFit is a solid base for things. I also think that CrossFit actually deserves a pretty good amount of credit for getting the general populace of the world moving in the right direction when it comes to fitness. I've been doing CrossFit type stuff before there was such a thing as CrossFit. The movements that you use in CrossFit are movements that they didn't invent anything new, right? But they did reintroduce. It's kind of like the Gracie family, to be honest with you. And there's, both the Gracie family and CrossFit, in my opinion, are responsible for really a paradigm shift in those two arenas, the arena of fitness and the arena of martial arts. If you looked at martial arts in the 70s and the 80s, what was it? It was karate, it was kung fu, it was aikido, it was traditional martial arts, it was not full contact sparring, it was just radically different than what it is now. And that came from the Gracie family, who created the UFC and broadcast it and got the information out there and spread the word of jiu-jitsu, which part of jiu-jitsu and part of the UFC is that you have to learn to wrestle and you have to learn to strike. So that all kind of came afterwards, but it's all related to the initial birth of the UFC and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And that's the same thing, in my opinion, with CrossFit. CrossFit, again, were people doing Olympic lifting years ago? Yes, they were, but it's a very small. If you you look at the martial arts schools in the 70s, look at fitness places in the 70s and 80s. It was those weird, machines and aerobic stuff, and the thing that women would like tie around their stomachs and would like shake them. Just all kinds of bizarre stuff. And that's just stuff that was just ineffective. And so I think CrossFit deserves credit for spreading, the knowledge of squatting and clean and jerks and pull-ups and muscle-ups and all those things. And so, again, like I said, there were decathletes before CrossFit. There were Olympic lifters, there was gymnasts before CrossFit, and those people were incredibly fit. But CrossFit popularized those activities and those exercises more than anybody else was able to. CrossFit is popular, and jiu-jitsu is popular. If you look at the number of jiu-jitsu schools and CrossFit boxes in the country, they're probably the same growth pattern. So I definitely give CrossFit credit for bringing that kind of well-balanced fitness to the forefront. And I think the programming, is fine. For me, it's a little bit too random. I like stuff to be a little bit more scheduled, I guess you could say. And sometimes I need more volume than what they have. And I think you need more focus to get really good at some things. You need to do them more often than the straight CrossFit would prescribe. I think that, now people realize, for a while they kind of held the line of like, no, all you need to do is what it says to do on the CrossFit workout of the day. Just like in the beginning, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu said, all you need to do is just do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And clearly both those attitudes are wrong. What you really need to do is get that base and then open your mind up. And you get to know yourself, you get to know your own physicality after a while. And then you know what your weaknesses are, and you know what hurts you, and you know what you can do more of, and you know what you should do less of. So I think that as a base, like if someone just randomly says, hey, I never worked out before, what should I do? I think CrossFit is a fine place to point them. There's some other really good stuff out there, but CrossFit's a good one. And I think it's a good starting point. It's going to teach you the basics of squats and pull-ups and dips. And there's going to be a million people that are going to say they don't really teach you Olympic lifting properly and you need to learn better form. I get it, right? If you want to learn to be an Olympic lifter, CrossFit is not going to be the best place to learn to be an Olympic lifter. You need to go get an Olympic lifting coach. Yeah. If you want to be a great gymnast, you need to get a gymnastics coach. But if you want an introduction to this stuff, a basic introduction, then I think it's a solid. And again, I think you need to give it credit for what it did. And then most importantly, you need to keep an open mind that things change and you have to change. We all have to change and adapt and grow and evolve so that you can become better. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, the CrossFit undeniably what it did is took working out, and some CrossFit workouts can be hard. I did CrossFit for a little bit, and even for someone who's like in pretty good shape, like they can be hard. And what an element of CrossFit that I'm not sure if this was intended from the beginning, but it got this way quick is kind of the group supportive environment, you know? So what it did was it turned it into, actually now it's a sport. Yeah. It's a straight up sport now. Yeah. And really all it is exercising. The sport of exercising, being, and who the guy who wins the CrossFit Games, what's he called? The fittest guy, right? He's fit. So it brought fitness into this more of an activity to do rather than, okay, you got to do this chore, you got to work out. It made it into like an activity, like boom, and not just, okay, I'm gonna go do some easy stuff with, you know, the girls on the weekend. It's for real, you know, like a hard workout, gonna put you through. You get in a group in a CrossFit situation, and they're gonna be yelling, supporting you, and it's way easier to stick with a workout program when you have people supporting you, and they support you, like for real support you. They're yelling at you, finish, all this stuff, and you're way more likely to achieve success rather than someone's like, oh, hey, are you gonna make it to the gym today? Oh yeah, maybe not, or whatever, and they give you good guidance. So again, it made fitness, quote unquote fitness, be popular, you know, this cool thing, you know, and a community, you know, in a way that I mean, like you said, there was already some of these, but they're like, okay, bodybuilding and, you know, I don't know, maybe some aerobics, but it didn't have that sense of community CrossFit does.
So much more. I mean, you look at a company like Rogue Fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't exist, I don't know, 5 years ago, but like my old squat rack thing was ancient, right? And it was kind of hard to get back in the day. You want a squat rack now? Boom.
Yep.
Rogue Fitness is boom. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
They're going to send it to you. It's going to show up at your house in 3 days. Yep. And they're selling hundreds of thousands of them, I'm sure. Yep. And why is that? They're selling rings. They're selling boxes for boxes. Bumper plates. Bumper plates used to be, you'd never see them. Like I had bumper plates in the Y where I grew up.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, 2 guys that would actually Olympic lift. And you go, oh, wow, that's cool. But never in a gym. Now you go to almost any gym now. No, almost, I shouldn't say that, because the 24-hour fitness type Globo gyms.
Yes, they do.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been in one in a long time. I avoid them. It's kind of,
Yeah, all over. And there's, over here, and I still have 24-hour fitness membership. I'll go there, you know, from time to time. Yeah, and all of them have straight up, you know, Protein Greg.
Yeah.
He's a trainer. And he's at the Balboa one, big, full on. Brett, you want to get your CrossFit on? You can go to 24-hour fitness. Of course, it's more crowded. It's not crowded. It's different. The culture is different,
right?
Which is a big part of CrossFit as well. But facility-wise, oh yeah, bumpers all up in there.
Yeah. So that's all thanks to CrossFit.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly your point. You know.
Yeah. Good deal.